You see Mercedes all up and down the street. All right. Those ramps are imperative. Okay, so we're going to stop about right there. All right. Perfect. Okay, so I have it in the garage. This is the SL500 that I'm working on. I'm doing the Coilovers Neomax suspension swap on for a client. So this right here is what he's dealing with, the failed ABC suspension. That's the only reason why most people will switch over. Either they are experiencing it or they're trying to avoid what they know is an impending problem. It will come. So here goes the Coilovers Neomax, still in a package. It took about 3 weeks. There was a little bit of a delay. When you order it, they make it to order. There's a couple custom options that you have when you order Coilovers Neomax. So when you place the order, they build them. There was a slight delay because they were missing a part. When it came in, they immediately finished the build and they sent them out. So anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks. With the pandemic, with the COVID-19 situation, I think manufacturing has slowed down a bit due to just whatever. I don't know if it's time management, people management, personnel issues, whatever. You're gonna expect delays with a lot of manufacturers. Coilovers Neomax, they did not let me down. They got it here quick. 3 to 4 weeks is not bad when you're about to fix a problem on a car that you plan on keeping forever. I have cars all over the place, up and down the street. There's another one down there. And I have 2 up there. Had to make room. Let me go ahead and put these cars back in the garage and start opening up the package. All right, so I cracked the box open. Now, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I wanna just do this job and not record every aspect of it, every step of the way, because it's really gonna slow me down. But I'm gonna go ahead and just do, little snippets just to make a couple points in the process. Because I have an earlier video that shows the process. Well, again, parts of the process. It's kind of hard to record the whole thing unless you have a camera set up. And if you don't mind recording for 6 to 8 hours. Anyways, so this right here is the strut. This is, I don't know if it's the rear or the front. Okay, this is the rear. I'm looking at it now. No, this is the front. Yeah, this is the front. So a lot of people ask me, like, what's the preload on the spring? Factory setting. Well, I'm gonna just tell you this. I'm only holding it with one hand, so I can't really turn it, but with 2 hands I can turn. This right here is the birch, what do you call that? The birch collar or something, I don't know. But this is what the spring is sitting on. Now, it's not on there, like, I can actually turn this. They said that the proper setting is to have it hand tight where the spring doesn't twist. So it doesn't have to be cranked onto the spring. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of preload, but enough where the spring itself doesn't turn. So I'll have to tighten this collar right here, but this right here, the birch collar, I guess, that it actually sits on is what you want to make sure is properly set, and then you tighten it with this lower collar right here. All right, it comes with the tools that you need in order to do that. Just like any coilover setup, it comes with, it's hard to do this with one hand, hold on. It comes with these tools right here. That's two, has an Allen key. I think that's for, I can't remember what that's for, but anyways, I'll remember once I get into it more. But it comes with a little Allen key, a little Allen wrench, whatever. It comes with two of those right there. Those are the coilover wrenches that allows you to tighten it and to adjust them height-wise. And again, so preload is not like really as crucial as we may think. You don't want to have a whole lot of preload tension on your spring, because if you do, it defeats the purpose of your spring in a way. Too much preload, then the little subtle imperfections in the road you'll feel. You want that spring to be able to move up and down and absorb the bumps in the road like it's supposed to. Every time you tighten that preload collar, what it does is it eliminates the spring's capability or ability to absorb the lighter bumps. Okay, that weight that you're putting on the spring, that preload, you're preventing the spring from having this full capability. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So don't add too much preload. Just make it, like I said, tight enough where the spring doesn't twist on you. That's it. Now, you adjust the height how you want it. The coilover is going to come out, you know, like they put it together at the factory, but they didn't do it with the intent of saying, hey, you can't adjust it. You adjust it height-wise as high as you want the car to sit from the off the ground or off, you know, above the wheel, the tire. So it also depends on your offset, how big of wheels you're going with, how low you want it to sit, you know, all that kind of stuff. So those are just a couple of things you want to consider in the process. Again, not too much preload on those springs. Sometimes people take these things apart and they do their own little mods to them and grease certain things or add or adjust or whatever. When you put it back together, make sure your preload is set to where hand tight, spring doesn't move, and then tighten that lower collar so it doesn't back out. Alrighty. Okay, back to the preload recommendation. Here we go. So this is a newly installed Silver's Neomax strut, passenger side, front on a Mercedes SL500, 2003, I think. Okay, so let me go. Let me see. Man, I guess my left hand isn't as strong as my right. Okay, so I'm going clockwise in this case, down. That is relieving the pressure on the spring. So let me get this tightening collar. This is how you lock it, the locking collar. Let me get that out the way and tighten up the one that's going to sit up under the spring. So let me do it counterclockwise. That's going to tighten it up. Okay. Hey, I'm going the wrong way. Shoot. All right, clockwise. Man, I'm backwards. I had a long night at work yesterday at the firehouse. Sorry about that. So I'm going counterclockwise. That's raising this up counterclockwise. And you see how it's tight now. If I back down just a few turns right there, it's almost a full turn, it's loose. As soon as it makes contact, now I feel that it's tight. Okay, the spring is not moving. Do a full turn if you can with your hand. That's as tight as you want it to be. I can't go any tighter. That's about one full turn. I can't go any tighter with my hand. That's as tight as you want it to be so that that spring does not move. And you tighten this collar. You can use the tools, you can use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. Either way, you tighten this collar, this locking collar onto that so that that does not move, no longer moves. All right, now you might also ask, how do you adjust the height? Because I know I'm not going to disconnect this bottom from the lower control arm again. So what you do this locking collar right here. All right, so you loosen this. This whole strut spins at the top. With this being loose from the lower, with this being loose from the lower, it allows the body of the strut to move. See, I'm moving the whole thing with my hand. The whole thing with my hand. What that would do is increase or decrease the height. I can take this threaded body and run it down into it. I can take the threaded body and run it out of it, send it up, increase the length, in other words, of the strut. If I turn it clockwise, righty-tighty, that decreases the height of the strut. Left loosey, counterclockwise, will raise the strut, increase the height of the strut, AKA raise the body of the car. Once you get it to the desirable height, you tighten this up. All right, you got to tighten that up. Use either the tool that they supplied, which prevents you from damaging it, or you use a flathead screwdriver. Sometimes it is better to use the tools that they give you, but sometimes you are struggling with space and clearance in order to do that. Like in the rear, once it's all attached, it's hard to adjust it with the tools that they give you. So I use a hammer and a flathead screwdriver on my silver one when I need to make the adjustment in the rear. So again, you don't have to disassemble this thing to raise it or lower it. You just have to loosen this bottom locking collar and then turn the whole body. But make sure that this is tight, because if this is loose, pay attention to what's spinning. I've made the mistake before of what I thought I was just turning just the body, but actually the spring was staying in place. I don't know, some weird crap happening where this actually loosened the lower perch and the locking collar, and so I had to reset the preload. But make sure that the whole thing is spinning. The whole thing should spin, even with this right here set. That's why you don't want this too tight. You want it just tight enough where it doesn't move. You don't want to hear that creaking noise as the car is hitting bumps and adjusting, turning, and all that kind of stuff. So make sure that preload is right. Make sure it's not loose. Make sure it's not overly tightened. And that's how you adjust the preload, and that's how you adjust the height on the front strut. Silver's Neomax and most other coils. I'm going to see if I can show you how to use these tools. I don't think I can, because I need like a third hand, but these are the tools that I use, right? These are the tools that come with the kit. This is what you should use to tighten it. Now, I don't over tighten it initially. I mean, I use these tools right here to tighten it, but I don't tighten it so much that I can't break it loose. The reason why I do that initially is because after I put the tires on here and drop the car, I want to see the height, and then I'll adjust it accordingly. Then I'll tighten it. And I can use these tools, or like I said, I can use a flathead screwdriver and get a couple taps in there, and that just like really sets it firm. It's not going to break loose if you do it right. You can just use these tools, but I just err on the side of caution and tap it a few times with the flathead screwdriver. I use something like this with a thick head. This is a pretty solid flat head right here. The tip is not going to break. It's not going to leave too bad of an indentation. And I just put it like right there and tap it. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? I do the same thing at the bottom. Tighten it the other way. I mean, this is going to tighten clockwise. This is going to tighten counterclockwise. But I do the same thing here. Throw that in there, hit a few times with the hammer, just enough to make sure it's tight. All right, so those are my suggestions. Do it how you want to, but that's what I do. Okay, so further along the process, I already have the passenger side front strut replaced, and I already have actually the driver's side front replaced. But what I have done at this point, I've stopped and focused on the ABC suspension, because I'm removing all the components in this one. I'm not leaving anything ABC related in this car. So I already have the front passenger side strut replaced. I also have the driver's side strut replaced. These are the coilovers. They're already installed, but what I'm focusing now on is the ABC suspension. So while I have the driver's side open and exposed, I'm removing all the ABC components, because none of that is going to stay in this car. Once you convert over, unless you're keeping the power steering original Tandem ABC power steering pump, most of this stuff, 99% of it, can be removed. So in this case, I'm replacing the ABC pump with a standard power steering pump. And even if you keep the Tandem pump, I mean, you have to still, like, I guess, isolate those lines. I would remove all those lines and I would run the ABC side empty. Really, anything beyond that pump doesn't have to exist because you're running that side empty. If you want to cycle fluid through there, be my guest. But if it's not being used throughout the system, and cycle through the cooler, which is like this little radiator thing right here. If it's not being cycled throughout the system, then it really serves no purpose. You might preserve the pump. You might feel like you're preserving the pump, but realistically, what happens to the ABC pump is totally, I guess, isolated from what happens to the power steering pump. The only thing that's related between the two is the outer, what is that, pulley or outer bearing? No, not even that, because even the ABC pump bearing can go out, and the power steering fluid will still continue to cycle through the pump. So these are literally two separate pumps. What they share might be a pulley, but that's about it. So like I said, even when the common seal goes out for the bearing on a tandem pump, on the ABC side, the power steering part will still work. I have that on my CL down there. That ABC pump has a leak out the front, but the power steering still works. So like I said, you can run the ABC side all the way empty if you want to. It doesn't matter. It's totally like separate, okay? Now I'm removing, like I said, all the ABC stuff. So we have here a couple pieces right here. Those that go on eBay. And you have this right here. I'll break that down and that will go on eBay. I have the coilovers over there. So this has kind of slowed me down a little bit, but it's all good. I've been able to separate the lines easily. Some stuff I just cut out because it wasn't worth trying to remove, all the way. Like on the engine compartment, there's a heat shield, and you have some lines that run up in there. Those two lines right there run into the heat shield. So you have to actually, let me see, is there a way? Nope, you have to remove the subframe in order to get those lines out. You have to actually drop the front part of the subframe, I guess, in order to replace those lines. And that's not happening for what? So just cut those. I'm not saving those lines. They're not worth saving. So of course, you have here the valve block that's gone with the accumulator. The main valve block up front that's gone with the accumulator. And there's another one in the back, driver's side, rear, in front of the rear wheel. There's another accumulator and valve block. So there's several lines, probably like 4 lines, 3 or 4 lines that run from the front to the back. And those lines I try to save too, because I've actually had to use those lines before on my friend's black SL500. I helped save this car, his ABC suspension, by using those lines. So try to save what lines you can. Other lines that you don't need are obsolete. Throw them away. Once I destroy or cut a line, it's no good. But most of the stuff, like I said, I can save, I can use. I can just store it for when somebody else needs some work done, or I can sell it on eBay. The power steering pump, rather the tandem pump, I have to probably sell that as a, repair or parts, because the front seal. So that means I'm going to sell it for cheap and somebody can buy it and do the repair. There are those who know how to break down those ABC pumps and fix the seals. I'm not going to do all that. But if you want to, it'll be on eBay. You can inbox me, send me an email, whatever. Go to my website, goelementautoworks.com, whatever you want to do to reach out to me. Go elementautoworks at Outlook. You can email me there. Okay. So I'm going to finish up removal of these ABC lines. What I'm actually do now, put the inner lining back together, throw the wheel back on, drop it, see what the height looks like. I have them both set evenly. Right at the little weep hole that's in the body of the strut, I have the threads going up to halfway. Like you can see, half of that hole is covered with the lower body, or is it the upper body twisting into the lower body. Half of that weep hole is covered. That's where I stopped it on both. So we'll see how it sits when I drop it, when I put it all back together. And then, like I said, I'll work my way to the back, remove those lines, and then it's time for the rear struts. Once I have the rear struts installed, see, I have to go into the trunk and figure out the whole lining, get access. Now, last time I removed everything in the trunk. That was crazy. That took about 2-3 hours to do. This time, and under recommendation from someone else, they said to go ahead and just create your hole and get access, like create access holes. You don't have to remove all that. Somebody said you could pull it back, but it's pretty stiff and thick. I don't know how easily you can pull it back without doing damage to some of the plastic pieces that are kind of like wedged in there. Anyways, once I have the rear done, then I'll tackle the next job, which is removal of the tandem pump. It's a beast. It's very hard to remove. Very hard to remove. All right. All right, now I get back. I'll take a pause here. I gotta use the bathroom. Okay, so I have the fronts done, and now I'm in the rear. And I said that I was going to, well, I did get rid of all the ABC stuff back here. I removed the lines that I wanted to save, and the rest is all pulled out. More stuff. Is that it? Yeah, more stuff. Okay, all right. So I have a lot of stuff pulled out, a lot of ABC stuff. Anyways, so now it is time to tackle exposing the top of the strut so that I can get access to it, unbolt it, the two bolts that, the two nuts that are attached at the top of the strut. And also I have to make sure that I have a hole for the silver Neomax so that I can adjust the dampening, that dial, right? That knob. I have to have access to that. Now, in my silver one, what I did was removed all the trunk lining, like I said before, and then I created like a 1.5, 2 inch hole diameter-wise above each strut so that I can access the knob. And in the forums, I read that somebody said you can pull the carpet back. So, you know, I'm a doubter. I'm a hater. You know, I doubt everything until proven wrong. So once I prove it, then I'm convinced. And so I went back here and I looked at what he has back here going on. And I said, well, hey, look at this. The carpet lifted up a little bit. It was already kind of detached right here. I said, okay, all right. So with enough force, actually with this right here, the cover pulled back and my hand right here, I'm able, with enough force, to pull back and expose what I need to see. Check it out, check it out. Look at that. Just by pulling it back. Now, mine doesn't pull back that easily, but this one does. Now, I don't know about this side. Let me see the underside first. Okay. All right. Maybe I was just scared and I didn't pull mine back that hard because I didn't want to mess anything up. It was just me learning. But let's see. Ew, see, heard that pop? See? Because you have things that keep this carpet down. But there you go. I can see it. I see the light. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. This will not be as hard as the first one. Okay, see, so you learn from the past. All right, so I have access to the top of the struts. I still will need to drill a hole, create a hole, an access point for the knob so that I can adjust the dial for dampening settings on the silver Neomax. But whew. Okay, so like I said before in my first video, one side I did it the way that I think R230 or somebody has said how to do it. And it took a long time. Well, it was a Strut Master? No, I think R230. I can't remember. But whoever gave some instructions online, I think Strut Masters was not, you know, practical. I think the R230 or somebody else's. Their process, I did one side that way, but it took like 4 hours to do. It would have been easier if it was up in the air. But being that I don't have a lift and I'm just doing everything with jacks and jack stands, that way was not good for me. It was a lot of extra work. Like putting the outer hub assembly and everything back together was very, 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 very hard to get everything to line back up, to get that bolt running back through. It was very, very hard. I think it was this bolt. Man, which one was it? I don't know. It's one of those bolts that runs through to the other side. To get everything to twist, lift up, and pull out at the same time, this thing's under so much pressure and strain. It was so hard to do by myself. I mean, I was out here like cussing like crazy. So we don't want to do that. Then I discovered that if you go back here and drop the lower control arm from the closer to the chassis, not the outer, but the inner part of it, if you drop that, then you're able to lift the strut out of your, you know, maneuver the strut out. Instead of trying to disconnect and collapse it from the front, do it from the back. Drop that, and then you're able to get access to the strut. And it's way easy to put back together. I think at this point, I'm just tired. I've been out here for, I don't know, for a couple hours now. Since probably, was it 12 o'clock, maybe? I've been out here since 12. A little tired. What time is it now? It's 5:30. I'm getting old. My knees, I'm getting old. But that's the way that I'm going to do it. Like I said, I'm going to get access from the top just by pulling this carpet back. Thank you for whoever said that. One of those forums, or maybe it was one of my YouTube channels. Somebody, on my YouTube channel, somebody gave a suggestion, say, hey, I just pulled my carpet back and I was able to get access. So thank you. Whoever said it, thank you. All right. So that's the process of removing the rear strut. Let me go ahead and get dirty. So this is what I'm talking about. So I removed the bolt that keeps up the rear of the lower control arm. This is on the back of the car. That bolt that runs through there, it has like a star bit bolt with a nut on the other end. You drop it from that angle, from the rear, it allows you to pull that strut up out of there. I don't fool around with anything in the front other than this. You got to undo this one in order to get this out the way. Move this arm up out the way. This flexes. There's not a lot of, it's like a tension bar of some sort. And it allows you to move it out the way. It's like there's tension on it, but it's kind of springy. You move that out the way so that you can extract that bolt. Where's it? Am I seeing it? Okay. That's the bolt that I'm removing. It's already obviously removed, but you have to move this arm up so that the bolt will come out. You got to make room for it to slide all the way out. And also the exhaust right there, you have to lift that up a bit in order to get that bolt out all the way. But this is the easiest way to remove the rear strut on an SL500. Don't mess around with anything in the front. You see my calipers are still in place. I don't mess around with that hub at all. Only thing I do is remove this torsion bar right here, the bolt that holds that in place. That allows the arm to drop. Once you remove that rear bolt, the whole thing just drops. I think it's like an 18mm bolt or nut and a star type bit. The actual bolt has a star bit head. You pull it out the way. Let me show you. It's this right here. It's not like a regular star, but it's this thing right here. This is the bolt that runs through the back of the lower arm. And I used one of these right here. What size is this? I don't know. What size is this? 55? It's hard to see. I don't know. It might say 55, but regardless. Whatever fits this right here, use that. And go ahead and lower the rear of the arm closer to the chassis. It allows that lower arm to drop, and you pull that strut up out of there. Easiest way to do it. Easiest way to do it. Hands down. Point blank, period. All right. On to the install of the silver Neomax. So what I did is I adjusted this one past that little hole. The threading is right at the top of the hole. I didn't do it like in the middle of the hole like I did in the front. I did it at the top of the hole because I remember that the rear really set down kind of low, so I gave it a little bit more. I remember on my SL I had to adjust the rear, I had to raise it up because whatever I did on that one, it was too low. These are factory 18-inch wheels or maybe some aftermarket, but these seem like these are Mercedes 18-inch wheels. I don't know if they're factory, if Mercedes make these or not, but that's what's going back on here. He's not going with 20s or anything like that. So he will have more clearance than what I have. I have 20s and I have extra wide all the way around. So he'll be okay. But still, you can adjust it once it's put on. So I'll do both sides the same length. Make sure you pre-measure them, do them the same length so that you know if you need to adjust one, you got to adjust the other. You know what I mean? Common sense stuff. But again, that's the easiest way to do the rear is just to remove the inner of the lower control arm, that bolt, this torsion bar right here, okay? And it drops down, no problem. Also, I did forget to mention though, that little level height sensor pop that arm off, because that arm will like stop you. Like when you try to drop it, it's gonna snag. So just do that before. Little preliminary thing. Just pop that off. Little ball right there. Pop that off of the little arm that attaches to the lower control arm. Pop that off. You see it? Yeah. Go ahead and pop that thing off from there. All right. Do that. Do that before you lower the arm. All right. Okay, so now I'm back at adjusting the rod height. I had it all put together last night. This is a new day. And so now I'm trying to get the height right overall, front and rear. And of course, equal on both sides. And so the issue that I have realized, you know, like this is probably the fourth suspension or coilover swap that I've done. And I've always got a little frustrated with adjusting the suspension, the height. The rear on this SL500, to adjust it, well, there's several ways to put it together. And the way that I decided to put it together is I shortened the strut and then installed it and then increased the length, right? It was easier to install short than it is full length. When you increase the length, you're twisting the whole strut. And when you're doing that, you're creating more distance from the base to the top of the strut. That changes your preload. Because what you're doing is you're twisting this whole body right here. The whole threaded body all the way to the top. You're twisting the whole thing. The spring typically stays put, but everything else turns except the base right here. Of course, this is in the lower control arm. It's bolted in. This whole threaded body turns. And when you do that, you're changing the preload. The problem with the SL500 is you don't have much space to reset the preload. You have these tools here, but you can't get them in there. It is so awkward trying. I'm not going to say you can't, but it's very hard to do because you're not going to go in there like the typical way, side by side, and push or pull separately or whatever in order to tighten them. You have to go in at a crazy angle like this and like this. You know what I mean? And then you're twisting it, and it takes forever to try to do it. So you can, of course, set it by hand, but you have to get that tight tug to secure those locking collars. That's hard to do. Just know that. Just know that this way of doing it, putting the strut in short and then lengthening it after installed changes the preload. Now this is again the rear on a 2003 SL500. I cannot remember if it's this difficult on the CL500. I doubt it. But I definitely remember that it's this hard on the SL. It's a tight design. It's very snug up in here. But that's how you increase the height, though, is by loosening this bottom collar and twisting the whole body. You do it this way, which is clockwise, it lowers it. Counterclockwise, it raises it. When you are lowering it, it's going to change the preload on the spring. When you're raising it, it's going to increase the load on the the preload on the spring. So just know that, and you have to adjust it. You don't want too much preload, and you don't want too little preload. You don't want that spring rattling around, because at full length, just say the whole rear end or corner lifts up, you don't want that spring rattling around. It will damage the strut eventually. So you don't want to do that. All right, so make sure that there's some load on that strut, on that spring, I'm sorry. All right. All right, back to adjusting. I'm tired, man. It's a whole new day and I'm still tired. My body is old. 42 years old, I feel every year. Yeah. Uh-oh. I had the hood open. Why would I have the hood open after I did a coilover conversion? Well, you guys know why. Look. Yeah. You're out of here, buddy. Yes, his ABC pump was leaking out the front. The power steering side still worked just fine. You know how that goes. It's a tandem pump, two-part pump. So when the ABC side fails, the power steering side 99% of the time still works. But we're going to simplify this system so that he can maintain it. if the ABC pump damages later on, it's going to be that much more difficult to replace later on. We want to do this the right way the first time. We don't want to have to go back in there. And when I say we, I mean me. Because it's going to be me that's coming back to this car. So let's just do it right the first time. ABC pump is gone. Now, the first time I did this on my silver SL, it's down there with the hood open. I had to do some comparisons. I was cussing. Oh, I was upset. My knuckles were bleeding. It took forever. I tried to go by what somebody else said to do, and it didn't work too well. Those forums are just hit or miss. Well, this time I went to Ben's Mechanic. I went to his YouTube channel. Shout out to you, Ben's Mechanic. That's 2 words, B-E-N-Z, and then space, and then capital M, and you spell mechanic. So his explanation was very thorough. It was on point. A couple things might have been missed here and there, but overall, following his video, his tutorial, helped me out. It just got my mind back right again. Yeah, I watched my own video, and it just frustrated me even more. But I learned something. You know, his way was a better way than what I did previously. But I found an even better way going off of his video. Once again, good job with that video, man. Very good job. Shout out to Ben's Mechanic. So I went up underneath here, and I really got access to those bolts that were almost impossible to get access to from the top. Just by going up underneath, gained way more access through here, through there. I really was able to reach up in there and get those bolts that are hard to get. So that's just another suggestion, guys. You cannot do everything from the top. You do have to go up underneath. So I'm happy about that. So I got that up out of here. That's gone. Here goes the new power steering pump. For those that don't know, you can get this from any other 2000 and up Mercedes. The ML55 always comes with this bracket right here. You want that bracket right here, that triangle shaped bracket. You have to have that. That allows it to connect to the front of the engine. Not all of these power steering pumps come with that, especially used ones. But if you eBay ML355 2003, it always comes with this. This is the new pump that you need. You can also go to my website, goelementautoworks.com, and order this pump. I prefer that. But anyways, you need that pump though, if you're going to do the conversion and swap out the ABC tandem pump. It's an easy way to connect it. 2 bolts in the front, 1 bolt on the back. You use this line right here. I have it covered up and pulled back. That line right there, that feeds your rack and pinion. And whoops, I just have this on here so that I didn't get any dirt and oil and grime on it. And then you'll need this line right here from the reservoir. It's filled with fluid. You need this right here. Ah, there it goes. You need this line right here to connect to the front, and that feeds it from the reservoir into the power steering pump. You connect 2 on the front, 1 in the back. And reattach the belt. It's the same size pulley and you're good to go. Make sure that you have fluid in the pump. Make sure you cycle the pump with your hand just to get that fluid into the pump so that you're not starting to dry. And there you go. So I'm almost done here. It didn't take, I think the first time it took probably like 4 or 5 hours to do. I was cussing. Oh, I was so pissed. Don't tell anybody I was cussing even though I just said it publicly. Because I try not to, cuss. I try to be a, good person, Christian, whatever, without cursing. Ha! Anyways, I'm distracted right now. So I got that done this time in less than an hour. Like I said, dude's video really helped me out, Ben's Mechanic, and just like thinking outside the box instead of following something that, off of experience I know doesn't work. I just, added my own personal experience, took what he told me, and I got it done in less than an hour. I got the removal done in less than an hour. The reinstallation of this power steering pump, this standard power steering pump, should always take me about 20 minutes to do. Then I'll throw this bad boy on the road, fine tune the suspension. I think I already have it pretty good. Give him a call, wipe the car down, clean it up because I got a lot of oil spots and grease spots on it. Clean this baby up, and he's good to go. So that's an SL500, Silver's Neomax suspension swap, and power steering swap. ABC to standard power steering. So there you go. Any questions, hit me up. feel welcome to go to my website, goelementautoworks.com. I'm still adding more products to my store. I'm trying to build that up and make it useful to all Mercedes owners. So it's a gradual process. It's an everyday progression. And just work with me. Be patient with me. I'll continue to add products. Any recommendations, hit me up. Trying to get access to some good body kits. Throw those on there. Just try to make it, welcoming to anyone who owns a Mercedes. That's the goal. And also with my knowledge and experience, maybe I can enhance the ownership and help out, instead of you having to go to a mechanic all the time or a shop to get things done. Maybe I can help you to become a DIYer and maintain your own car. Save you some money. Okay, guys. Thank you for paying attention, and please like, share, and subscribe. See that?
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. How do you? This is for the camera. This is for YouTube. What do you think about the Silver's Neomax coilovers?
Outstanding product. It has to be installed by someone that is knowledgeable on installing the product. I went with Gold Element. They put the Silver's Neomax on mine. Gentleman named Brandon Green did the install on this. I am very satisfied, and it eliminates the leaking hydraulic system that was originally on the car. These are older cars. They are going to break, and they're going to be costly, and they will repeatedly break. But once you go with the Silver's Neomax, you've eliminated that, and it makes the car much more affordable.
There you
and
go.
It's still a pure Mercedes. It's Mercedes. I don't care if some Mercedes say you've bastardized the car. It is still a Mercedes. I've driven it, still runs strong.
Good deal.
Thank you to Gold Element and the owner of Gold Element,
Yes.
Mr. Brandon Green.
Thank you so much.
And you can check me out on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Under Chillin'.
Yeah.
Ernie Slaughter.
Say it again. Say it again.
Chillin'. Ernie Slaughter.
Ernie Slaughter.
Yeah.
Chilling. Thank you for your business.
You're very welcome.
Yes, sir.
Did I
Yes,
scan
sir.
and grin for you good enough?
That's good, man.
Go get my chicken.
Go get some chicken. Take care. Let me tell y'all, I'm finished and I'm tired. It's a lot of work, but I did it over the weekend. It took a day and a half. Done. Gold Element Autoworks. Signing off.